Hello again, and welcome back to Bucs UK TV. It's episode 52 today, and no new faces for you, but certainly new locations. Tim and Gary are reporting live from Tampa. Phil's just this second pulled in back into his living room, so he's still on Tampa time at least. Tim and Gary, let's start with you guys. How was the match? What was it like being back in the Ray J?
I'm not sure I can find the words to describe it. The match was just phenomenal. The atmosphere was phenomenal. Just being there was phenomenal and quite emotional, to be honest. It was just, the whole day was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I spoke to Carl Berger at the event, and he said, what's it like? And I said, I genuinely had a tear in my eye. We were at the stadium. We could see the lights on. We're back. And that felt a great deal of normality. And then the Bucs put in a superb performance from start to finish. So it was great.
What do you think, Phil? I mean, it wasn't often you get to return back home to our home ground and as Super Bowl champs.
The whole thing was amazing. And what was really nice was to see the stadium full. And it was full. And the other thing was nice was more red shirts than what there was blue shirts. That was another nice thing. Although the Giants were well represented, as they always are out there, it was great.
There's a lot of New York that seems to retire in Tampa, isn't there?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. And the other nice thing was to see Brady in that in his red shirt was just mind blowing. I mean, when he came running out and go, "Let's go," I thought, wow, that's just incredible, absolutely incredible.
And you said, Phil, that the stadium was full, but Marianna, it wasn't full by the end, was it? Domestic bragging rights for another year. How was that?
Yeah, it's great to be on again after another drubbing of the Giants. So I get to lord it over for at least another year and hopefully longer. So yeah, I'm quite happy again this year.
Brilliant. Well, so at which point we will start then our dissection of us standing on the shoulders of the Giants. Tim, if we come back to you then, we'll start with terms of the offensive side of the ball. It felt like we were moving it well at times, but others, there's still a few wrinkles.
It was a great start with the Bucs. I think it was 10 of 10 we started. Quick touchdown. Then we started to throw a couple of missed balls. The interception of Mike Evans' shoulder. You're thinking, what's happening here? But it was always Brady looked in control the whole game. It was one of those days where you sat back almost and relaxed throughout the whole game. Even though we weren't quite as sharp, it was just a confident performance.
Gary, did it feel good to see us running the ball, or would you rather? Because Brady was good in the air as well, wasn't he?
He certainly was. Yeah, it's strange because in the stadium you get a completely different perspective because you don't get the commentary that you get on the TV at home. So we're never aware of how many yards somebody has got and who's in on this play and who's in on that play because you're basically watching Brady and you're watching what he does with the ball. But it seemed to me like we sort of mixed it up pretty well. We weren't going long with the long passes too often. There were a couple of nice ones, a nice one to Gronk and there was a nice one to Evans. But it seemed to me like we were pretty balanced. I haven't checked the stats, so I don't know if we were, but it seemed in the stadium watching the game, it seemed to me that we were pretty balanced.
And Marianna, I mean, Gary there mentions the Gronk was back. He certainly was back, and he seemed to be, unlike his previous sort of return that was a little bit premature, he did seem to be effective, I thought.
Yeah, he caught a few passes, and they were those typical sort of 9-10 yard ones that literally just get you right on that first down line. He just has that instinct for exactly where to catch the ball. It's such a beautiful thing that he can be in the middle of the field and just know exactly where to catch it and to sort of fall forward and get that first down. But I've also got to give a lot of credit, I think, to the O-line, because I think they were giving Brady so much time in the pocket. Now, yeah, you know, some of that could be down to the Giants' defense and their inability to get any sort of pass rush. But, you know, it's good to see when Brady has that time to really scan the field and, you know, decide which option to throw to, then you know you're going to get that sort of positive result.
Phil, what was the highlight for you?
I think, well, apart from seeing Brady in a red shirt, I think that was the fact that the whole game, we seem to be back on track again. It seemed to be a bit of a carbon copy of last year. You know, we faltered during mid-season, and then we got back on track, and we looked so confident. I thought the few things that I was going to say about the O-line and how much time Brady went, but I thought Ronald Jones played very well. You know, we've all been talking about Fournette, but I just thought he had a really good game. And, you know, Scotty Miller's coming back, and also it was nice to see towards the end of the game was the backups. I think in Darden and Johnson, we've got two good receivers for the future. And a word here for Perryman as well. It was like he'd never been away.
Yeah, I think he had one thing that you'd like to him to have grabbed down. It was throwing into the corner of the end zone, but that was a tough one to grab.
It was when I saw it, we replay. I thought he did a good effort there. But
he actually made it look more catchable than it probably was.
Yeah, he did actually. I think that's a very good point. But yeah, we've got Antonio Brown coming back at some time, and some of the defense. So yeah, it's like a carbon copy of last year. Here we go in for the final stretch, and you know, we started to turn it on.
You mentioned Johnson. Does anyone know what happened on that interception? Free for all. Who was he going to?
Not a clue. It just looked like, I know it was just.
What did it look like in the stadium, boys?
It was just a bounce off, and you know, the hands got the pass. In fairness, was from about 10 yards. It was like a tracer bullet, and by the time the receiver turned around, the ball virtually hit him in the shoulder. And
if it hits anything that's chest or shoulder, of course, which is rigid with the pad, it's going to go everywhere, isn't it?
But when you look at that was the only offense that the Giants had all game. It was a 3-4 yard touchdown. The rest of their play, we dominated. You know, Marianna said about the offensive line. We missed on the day that Ali Marpet went out quite early. We didn't miss a beat with Stinney in it, and we didn't realise that until after the game that he had disappeared. And that's some of the things you miss when you're at the game, is those little subtle things, as Gary alluded to. The commentary's not there. It's only what you can pick up from 50, 60 yards, and that's something that's quite difficult. But I would rather be 50, 60 yards away from 5,500 miles.
All right, stop rubbing it in.
Yeah, well, on about what Tim just said there, one thing that I never appreciated until I was there live in the stadium, that a 44-year-old man could throw a ball that hard. They come out like laser beams, those balls. They're going so hard and so quick, you know, and they keep saying, you know, Brady's arm, the last couple of weeks with those losses, it's gone. Not a chance.
The other thing, Kieron, it was good to be there for, obviously, was Mike Evans breaking Mike Allstott's touchdown record. And it was great to see that happen straight in front of us with a great clear view of it. And again, a superb pass from Brady. As soon as he made the break, the ball was on him. The defensive back had no time at all. So it was great to witness that.
Yeah, I think, you know, Mike Evans is definitely up there as a contender for best buck of all time at this rate, and you know, every year that goes on, he's putting another claim there.
I quite enjoyed his comment. They had like the mic'd up on the sidelines, and he obviously kept that ball, and he was offering it to the Bucs. He said he didn't want to keep it; he'll keep 100, and I'm hoping that I get to see him catch 100 as well.
Yeah, it was one of the best bits of the game for me, not just the fact that he caught the touchdown, but what he then did, because he ran towards the crowd with the ball in hand, as though he was going to give it away, and then sort of smiled and kept it. And I still chuckle at that now after the Brady, giving the Brady ball away. I just thought that was hilarious.
He knew it was going to be
Brilliant
expensive.
moment.
He hasn't got any more Bitcoins left in his wallet, probably. So let's move on to the other side of the ball then, and maybe Phil, we start with you. Consummate performance, couple of flashes, couple of gaps, good rotations again. What's your reflections on D?
Well, it was quite an interesting point. What was going to happen? We were without Vita Vea, which obviously is a massive strength, but McClendon stepped in very well, as we saw. And the other thing was, what was pleasing was starting to see the secondary come back. Murphy Bunting was back, and couldn't you just tell? It was the secondary looked like it'd been through all the sort of ramifications of what was going on, and they really did look a solid, bit more of a solid unit than they normally did. So yeah, it was excellent, and that pass, that interception McClendon's caught will just stay with me forever.
I mean, what was Mr. Jones thinking? I mean, that comes to, it's a good point actually, because Marianna, I think Phil's giving a lot of credit to the secondary, but if we're being honest, was it just a subpar set of receivers and someone that couldn't quite get it to them?
I mean, I think the Giants have let Jason Garrett go, their offensive coach, so they're putting a lot of blame on that offensive side themselves. But their O-line is particularly weak, and so they struggled, against JPP and Shoyinka were getting through. And putting, and that, contrasting that, as I say, against sort of Brady standing there and just having time to throw. Daniel Jones is constantly having to sort of bootleg out and try and, find a throw downfield. But theoretically, they've got talent. So they just don't mesh. And to be honest, I think our D was just the better products on the day. You can't say that Golladay is not a talented receiver. He is. It's just they've done nothing with him. You can't say that Barkley's not a talented running back. He's a superbly talented, young running back who should be doing more than he is. I think, I'd kind of give a lot more credit to the Bucs D than sort of wanting to just say that the Giants are rubbish. Even if they are a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, looking at it live, it was constant pressure. As soon as Daniel Jones set, he was already immediately on the move. His eyes were all going everywhere. I just read one bit earlier on that Joe Tryon played 50% more snaps and started to get pressure. Now, when that guy learns to inside rush as well as outside rush, he will be a good player. But it was just constant pressure, but from no one in particular. It was just the whole front seven were constantly attacking.
I think that's a really good point, Tim, because Shaq wasn't necessarily on fire. JPP maybe got a few headlines. And also, I think, if you think about Levante David and Devin White, normally one of those guys would be spelling Jones to make sure he does not scrambling and doing all sorts of things. And it felt like they had a quiet day, but you don't concede 10 points in the NFL by playing average, do you?
It was the consummate team defense. And when you're moving a quarterback around, that always makes your defensive backs look better. But it was good to see them back and looking more comfortable.
So let's move on then to what I might consider the Achilles heel still of this team, special teams. I'm developing a reputation, I know. Marianna, let's start with you. I mean, special teams.
As always, I thought they were, I thought they were solid. I mean, I'd probably pick out, Suckup, and I don't really think he put a foot wrong. So, we're still solid where we need to be, getting the conversions or field goals when we need to. So that's kind of what I want to see out of special teams. No major, returns against us, but nothing really flashy the other way, I guess, either.
Now, Phil and Tim and Gray won't have seen this, but the graphic that flashed up at kickoff, it used to be the graphic, the only team never to have taken one to the house. The Bucs now have the longest current drought in the NFL. of a special teams return for a touchdown. I mean, did it feel like at the stadium? Did it feel like they're in danger of breaking it? Because it didn't look like that on the screen.
No.
Kieron, I will defer to Gary, who will give you his return kickoff strategy of the Bucs.
Well, I don't need to because I've done it so many times. I'm beginning to sound like a broken record. But there was two kickoff or punt returns, whatever they were, that come to mind. One, they were coming towards us, and Darden caught the ball, and the entire left-hand side, as we looked at it, there was not a soul to be seen. Had he broke it to his right, he would have walked in, quite frankly, but he didn't. He ran straight up the field. The second one I was thinking was caught right in front of us, effectively. It was about on the 15-yard line. And he ran straight up the field, as in exactly north-south. And he got about 6 yards before he got tackled. Now, I'm not blaming Darden. I wasn't blaming Mickens and anybody else at return kicks. It's the coaching. They coach them to go towards the block, but these are instinctive players. You know, Darden has got that fast twitch, what you want. If he was on a rugby field, he'd be outside centre on the wing. Give him the ball and he's gone. And no one would get anywhere near him. You've got to let him do his own thing. He's got the talent, he's got the ability, he's got that natural, innate ability to make people miss, and they've got to let him do it, but they're not. They're coaching him to run straight up the field, and that's into the blocking, but it's also into the heart of where the opposition are.
I completely agree. I think his first step or first two steps could be so very dangerous if he was just allowed to, like you say, react or use his instincts. I mean, and also, for one thing, I've been looking at some of the punting plays, and you know, we line up with when we are punt returning, because that's the one I care about the most. We've got one guy out wide each side on their gunners. You know, on a punt return, normally you double team those to make sure you stop them. But does that mean, therefore, we're committing to the block? And actually, you look at it, and we're not really committing to the block. I think, because we don't want to have a flag for running into the kicker or something like that. I get that. But it seems like we're neither trying to block the kick nor trying to set up a return. And that, I think, is what I think you've highlighted that as well. But we'll stop grumbling. 30-10 can't be good. I'll take that before the kickoff. But of course, not all of us were in Tampa, in case you realised. There were plenty of us on the forum watching the game together, and a few of those comments I've got here to share. So our first comment from Steve Moore: exceptionally comfortable win in hindsight. I think is the interesting bit. It felt at times like it was a bit closer than it probably was. And you looked at the end, as you say, when the backups were coming in, and that felt nice. Alex Howes: it was pretty comfortable. Loved dink and dunk Brady on the opening drive. We didn't really get out of third gear, but we didn't need to. The D looked good with Sean Murphy bunting back and without Vita Vea, which is always a big miss. An important win given the other results around the league. That's a really good point, isn't it? Because that win counted double because everyone else lost, didn't they?
Yeah, he's spot on there. We got a 2-game lead now and a couple of winnable games coming up over the next few weeks, I believe.
Yeah, hopefully this is the easier stretch of the schedule now, but we'll come on to talk about the next one. Steve Gargett: an okay performance. He's glass half empty like me. An okay performance, but not great by any means. But then you can only beat the team that's in front of you. Need to step up big time going into Indy next week. This game will be a good indicator of exactly where we're going into December, when every game will be crucial. I think you're right. We're going to come on to that. And then from Wayne: I feel safe putting this on now, so you don't know this, but during the whole game, Wayne was moaning about how cold he was and the heating hadn't come on at home. But he didn't want to put his hoodie on because he didn't want to jinx us, because he had his lucky shirt on. So he took one for the team there. Superstitions count. Thank you, Wayne, for being cold. Without you, it would not have worked. And we're done looking backwards. So now we need to look forwards. Tim and Gary, it's like Dumb and Dumber. They're in the van together. You've got a road trip. You're literally driving to Indianapolis, aren't you?
Yeah, we're headed off in the morning with 1,009 miles in front of us to get to Indianapolis for the weekend. So it's going to be an epic trip.
4 million green bottles on the wall.
Well, there'll be a few tasters of Jack Daniels on the way at the distillery, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, I hope Kay's the designated driver then for your stage.
He will be by that point.
Brilliant. So I think as we know, everyone knows that the Colts had a pretty good game this week. Marianna, do you think that's? I mean, before the season, I was all over the Colts. I thought they were going to be amazing, and they came out a bit damp, shall we say? And now they seem to have picked up form. Who are the real Colts?
I think maybe with some of the changes, particularly bringing in Wentz at quarterback, much like the Bucs last year, take a bit of time to gel a few new players in. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think they're a more competitive team than they might have appeared at the start of the season. 3 games, 3 wins on the trot, I think, and the big one against the Bills, who I think last year obviously looked very competitive, and this year I don't know what's happening to the Bills. So, but yeah, I think they've definitely got a few dangerous players, and I was looking. I'll let other people pick up on the obvious running situation, but I'll pick out Carson Wentz. I was looking, and apparently his stats are pretty good. He's got like an 18-3 touchdowns to interceptions ratio, which is kind of not what I expected off of Carson Wentz. And 2,000, I think 2,500 yards so far or something. So he's not, he's doing okay at quarterback off of a not great sort of time at Philly before he left. So I'd be interested to see. I think it's going to be a tougher game than I'm not feeling as confident going into this as I have for some of the others.
Yeah, I mean, Phil, you obviously elected to come home at this point, partly because he's going to be coming to Leeds to the Bucs UK Social, where hot on the heels of our London meetup, we're going to be watching the game live as a club. So he's obviously got his head screwed on right, but he must know something that Tim and Gary didn't if he's bailing out of Indy. What do you reckon it's going to be like there, Phil?
I think it's going to be a very, very hard game, and I agree with Marianna. It's going to be a good test of where we're at. I'm a great believer, as probably Daniel Jones will testify. It's no point having a quarterback if you can't protect him. And the offensive line in Indianapolis with Quentin Nelson, who we all know because we all were sitting there at the draft going, "Oh, let's get Quentin Nelson, let's get." And we lost him the pick before, I think. So, and they've also strengthened their offensive line in other areas. Eric Fisher's gone there from the Chiefs, and as Patrick Mahomes will testify, that's made a bit of a difference. And so, yeah, he's getting plenty of time. As we know, if you get a player of Carson Wentz's ability with the time, he's going to start causing you trouble. And so, yeah, I think we're in for a tough day. We've got to say a few words about their defense as well. Darius Leonard and all the rest of them. Good all-around team. Going to see. I think it'll be just a big indicator of where we are.
Yeah, and so Tim and Gary, you did pick this game as one to see, and you weren't picking the stadium because my God, it's an ugly stadium. So you must be going to look for a good team inside it.
Yeah, this. Both the others are right. This is a really good team, but at the moment, this team revolves around one player, which is the obvious player, Jonathan Taylor. And you stop the Indianapolis run, you will stop the Colts, because the run sets up everything that they do. The receivers are average. Mike Pittman, Bucs.
Obviously, we like Mike Pittman.
We obviously like Mike Pittman coming on quite nicely, but the rest of the receivers, Pascal, Hilton, unfortunately, is gone now in terms of enough productivity. So I feel as long as we stop Jonathan Taylor, there is a better than average chance if we get the amount of pressure we did on Monday night, because Carson Wentz doesn't handle that pressure very well. Gary.
Yes, indeed. We did see a report out here that Nelson had got hurt last week. Can't say I've followed up on it too much, to be honest, because I can't drag this fella out of bars quickly. But
Yeah,
there is a chance that he won't play, so that will weaken their O-line somewhat. But the guys are right. This is as tough a game, really, probably, as we got left on the schedule. I'm not overly bothered about the Bills. I think teams have found the Bills out. They've got 12 months of film on them being a good team, and they can sort them out. But Indy is a different matter, especially with Wentz. He's fairly mobile, but then so was Jones, and we sorted him out well enough. So it's not going to be as comfortable a game as we had last Monday night. But hopefully it'll go the same way.
I think you're right, and we don't know about Vita Vea, do we, at this point, or is he out? Because obviously he would be an important person in the inside to greet Jonathan Taylor should he try and take it between the tackles.
Yeah, he was actually on the field on Monday night, just in pre-game warm-ups. It's a bone bruise, so they are hoping that it's a shorter-term injury. Again, not sure whether he's back this week. But
that's a good insight, because on the TV we just saw him in own clothes, if you like.
He was on the field beforehand, but it's a bone bruise, which for us might not be nothing. When you're 350 pounds, might be slightly more serious.
I don't know, if you've got Jonathan Taylor running at you, I bet it's something.
Yeah, the feeling we got, I think, was that they knew they could get by against the Giants without him, to hold him out another week. When we are going to need him. I mean, Barkley had just come off a 4, 5, 6 week absence, so they weren't going to run him into the ground. But Taylor's in the groove now, isn't he? So we need the best players out there, and certainly Vita against the run is one of the best. So we need him. So the feeling is that they held him out for another week to keep him fit for Indy.
Yeah,
and Phil, you talked about. Sorry, go on, Phil.
Sorry, but Carlton Davis looks like he's back off IR as well. So hopefully that's another piece of the jigsaw coming back to play on Sunday as well.
I mean, that's our defense. Phil, you obviously mentioned their defense that we shouldn't overlook. Again, it's not this one that sort of you look down, it's dotted with stars. I mean, Kenny Moore is someone obviously that we know as a household name. Darius Leonard, they're not sleepy. I do notice looking at their website, they've named 12 starters on defense. So I'm hoping the referees will pick up on that come Sunday. That'd be helpful as a quick flag. In terms of the keys to the game, I think we've talked about those. But if there's one Buck, Phil, that you think we need them to be on point on the day, who's that going to be?
I think going back again to the running game again, I think we've got to establish the run and move the ball up the field. So I was a bit concerned on Sunday. One thing of the lack of Fournette on the field. He didn't sort of look the Fournette of last few weeks. I don't think whether he's carrying an injury or not, but we need the tandem, Jones and Fournette, to actually start moving the ball upfield. And I don't think we'll have a problem after that.
Okay, so it's the running back now named Jonette that we need to go well. Marianna, who's the Buck you're most watching?
I think I'll take the obvious and sort of say that sort of inside D. So as we're saying, either if Vea's back, or McClendon's going to have quite a tough day himself. He might have a few more. Well, let's see if he can get another interception. Maybe, who knows?
That would definitely be a record, I think, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. But okay. I think we've got to go sort of that line is going to be crucial to stopping Taylor, stopping the run.
All right, Gary.
Key man for me, and we saw the difference he made when he came back this week, is Gronk. I mean, the guy is just. The word chemistry isn't even close to how good him and Brady are together. Brady could close his eyes and throw the ball, and Gronk would be there to catch it. The guy is phenomenal. So he's the key man. We've got to keep him fit for the rest of the year, get him in there, and teams can't cover him. It's as simple as that.
Tim?
Well, I'll go with Marianna, but I'll put a slightly different spin on it. Any player who has to hit Jonathan Taylor first hits him properly and knocks him on the ground. Don't let that guy get up ahead of steam. So that's the player, whoever it is.
No tackling with arms, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, basic stuff.
Eyes up, driving trim.
Nice, we like that. For me, I'm going to pick Byron Leftwich as I think the buck of choice. You know, that dink dunk thing, in the past we've moaned about it when it didn't work, because fickle fans we are. So you can call the plays, but if they work, we like them, and if they don't, we don't. But it felt like we had a good blend. It felt like, you know, yes, the players weren't running necessarily as hard as they could, but we kept balance throughout. We had some nice short intermediate balls. We weren't always trying to lob it 90 yards or run it for 2. There was some happy medium in between, so I'd like to see more of that. So then the final thing is to put your money where your mouth is. Tim and Gary, we can start with you guys for scores. You're going all that way. I hope you're going to see some points.
I don't think we'll see as many points as you think. It's going to be somewhere in the region of 19-16, somewhere around that. But I still believe the Bucs will take a close one.
I think it'll be more than that. I'm confident this Bucs offense is starting to roll now, starting to get into gear. We've said before, they can score on any defense in this league. I'm convinced they can. Good chance AB will be back pretty soon. Gronk is already back. We're going to score points, and they're going to need to throw the ball to keep up with us. So I still think we'll win, but I think it'll be a bit of a bum squeaker. So I'm going to go for something like 33-30 to the Bucs.
Ooh, that'd be
Last
fun to
minute
watch.
field goal. Brady drive us up the field, 2-minute drill. Ryan suck up. Thank you very much.
Nice, I'll take that. Marianna?
I'm going to park myself somewhere in the middle. I kind of do think we will score, but I can't see that the Colts aren't going to, you know, push us all the way. So I think something like the Bucs winning, sort of, it'll be like 21-24, Bucs win. Again, sort of last minute field goal sort of win on a sort of 2-minute drill. But yeah, it's going to be tight.
Okay. Phil?
Oh, well, I think we're a bit. I don't think we're as close as that. I put down here 31-24. I think we'll beat them. I've just got this feeling that you got that feeling after the Monday night game. They've just clicked into gear again, and with all the people coming, it's like I said, it's a carbon copy of last season. This is, 31-24.
Okay. I think I see a lot of, when I look at India, I see a lot of New Orleans. I see a lot of sort of underperformance at quarterback, a reliance on a good running back, and a defense which I think is capable of making plays. Having said that, no one runs on the Bucs, so I'm saying 28-7. I think we will shut them down.
Okay, good, like it.
That's honestly, I'm like a manic. I must be bipolar or something. I'm hating on them and loving them at the same time.
If that's the case, Kieran, there'll be 4 people left in the stands at the end of the game. And that'll be me, Tim's good lady, and of course Ian Costain, that we all know.
Fantastic. Well done for making the travel all that way. It was delightful to see so many Bucs UK members in the stadium. If you don't follow us on social media, do go and have a look on Insta, Facebook, Twitter. As we say, Carl Berger from ABC Action News did a really good feature on Tim and David and all of the guys there cheering. It was great to see. However, of course, the one place you really need to be this week isn't Indianapolis. It is, of course, Leeds. So make sure, if you're a member, get on the forum, get your tickets, come and join the rest of us. It's going to be great fun. I imagine we will be keeping up with you guys pint for pint, because you haven't got Graham, so that's our secret weapon, so it'll be all right.
Can I just stop you there? I've been out with Tim, and we will not be keeping up with them pint for pint.
Thank you, Philip.
It's only because there's 4 of them and there's going to be about 20 of us. So.
Yeah, I still back that comment up.
So thanks, guys, for joining. I know the time difference is slap bang in the middle of your day. Phil and Marianna, cheers for all your efforts as well. Thank you guys for watching. And of course, we will see you soon next week. And go Bucs!
Go Bucs!
Go Bucs!